Yo gang, what is flipping good and welcome back on the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how you can make emotional pain loops for artists like Polo G, Lil TJ, Rod Wave. I recently dropped a loop kit called Heartless and it contained 21 pain emotional melody loops. So I thought, why don't I show you how you can make loops like this yourself and don't rely on loop kits. So when I make pain loops like this, I usually work off of the piano. I just start with laying down some chords on the piano. So it sounds like these two chords are different from these two, but they're not. So we have the E minor chord. I could extend this like this. But I left out this note and instead added the octave of the E. And then we have the C major chord, but like C major 7, because we added this B up here. But it gives it this like pain vibe, so always use 7 chords. For the B part, I just removed this note and I removed these 2 notes, and I basically, let me show you, I duplicated it, and this is what we have. It's exactly the same as before. First drum right here. Always include a B part. Always make a part that's a little bit more simple, that don't have that many elements, just so people can already hear what it sounds like if they're making a verse, if they're making a bridge, whatever. So I did that with all of the elements. I removed some of the elements for the B part. I changed up like the way the chord sounded. I removed a lot of the melody. I'm getting way ahead of me right now. So I added the melody. Now I'm gonna add the top line, which sounds like this. Basically, there's multiple ways how you can make top lines. So you can just go on the piano, play them in if you have one. You can also just draw them in. What you generally want to do is have some empty space. So once you have the chords, you can see that there's empty space here. There's nothing crazy happening here. There's a new empty space right here as well as right here. And this allows a rapper or a drum maker even to put their own groove onto it, you know, to find their own pockets, to fill these pockets and leave them enough space, you know, to make their own thing. Again, I did a B part where I took the melody, duplicated it, and I removed a bunch of notes. You can see how these notes are featured in here too. Also, I put MIDI to this whole loop, all the stems, everything, in a Dropbox link in the description. So if you want to download it, just hit the link and get this loop completely for free, so you can deconstruct it for yourself, see what it sounds like, experiment with it, and yeah, even replicate it if you wanted to. Third element is the low piano. It sounds like this. Basically, when you draw on your chords, you can just take them and put them 1 octave down. I also added in this D, which wasn't in my chords, but it fits good with the chord that's in the melody right here. So yeah. Then when you're making pain loops, you gotta watch out for putting your piano too low. So I could have also done this, and it sounds way darker. It sounds, you know, it's way lower just. And you don't want to do this because you want to keep it to the trap beats, you know. Like pain is really melodic, really lush. It's like you're not. This sounds angry. It sounds dark, angry, not sad, not emotional. So don't put your piano too low. And for the low frequencies, we got our sub bass. This is just a one shot I did myself. You can literally use any sub bass or re-space you have. Just make sure that you don't have too many high frequencies because it's really just a sub bass. And like, you can hear it, you can feel it, but it's not directly in your face. The third element I always add is vocals. So vocals tend to be quite emotional with us humans, so the human voice in general. There's a few different ways you can find and add vocals. First of all is obviously the arcade way. You can just get arcade and chop some vocals, which I do from time to time. You can go on Splice, you can go on literally every other site that has royalty-free samples. And something I like to do, because I have a lot of cymatics loop kits with vocals in there, is I just search for, let's say, vocal 170, because we're at 170 BPM, and it just suggests me every vocal loop in my library at 170 BPM. And I would go through them, see okay which sounds good, then maybe pitch correct them because obviously they're not going to be in the same key as my project right now, and then chop something together and eventually end up with something like this. Then a little bit more processing, you know, I just made a little bit less stereo. I added reverb. This ROM reverb is really, really good. Used it on every track in this melody loop. And then another jam for you is add a pan automation. So you can either just automate your panning, or you can use a plugin like AutoPan. And basically what it does is it sends your vocal or your track, in this case, from one ear to the other. And if I put this amount to 100%, you're gonna really want to hear this. So it essentially moves from left to right. It makes it a little bit more ambient. It gets the vocal like out of the middle of your sound field, and it helps, you know, separate it from other elements so it stands on its own. So let me play this for you real quick. So from there I added two more elements. We first have a pad and then we have a guitar. And right here you can really be creative. You can add more keys, you can add synths, you can add accent, arps, guitars, literally whatever comes to your mind and what fits the loop. And you want to add these elements in order to provide the loop, the beat maker with a little bit more flexibility. First thing is a pad. It's really easy. This is what it sounds like. Sounds almost like a plug bell with a lot of reverb. And right here it really depends on if you're adding like a pad, because a pad usually has like a quite long attack, so it's not really loud when it hits first. Then you would just copy over these chords and put them into the pad. But because this has like a bell-like sound, what I like to do is put some of the melodic elements in here too. So just copy it over and see how you flip it. Last thing is a guitar. This is the Native Instrument picked acoustic guitar. For this one I really just played it in, and I can usually recommend you, if you have a MIDI keyboard, then play your stuff in. Like, get used to playing a little bit of like top melodies and stuff on your keyboard. I got a big one right here, you can see it, which is amazing, but like the small ones are enough. For top lines you could just use these like 25 keys, I think it's APC Mini or something. Otherwise, in order to make it realistic, you gotta like automate the velocity manually. You have to make the drums manually, and it just, you know, it sucks. Generally speaking, just try to find something that works together with your main melody and develop an ear on how you're gonna make these counter melodies. So this is what the whole loop sounds like together. Yeah, that is basically the whole melody. Now a little bit more source. First of all, I forgot to mention that the piano is the Noir. It's really the best piano for pain melodies. Also, I can only recommend you this RAM reverb. It's crazy good. It's you just drag down the mix a little bit, put the decay down a little bit, and boom, you have a perfectly fine reverb with a lot of high end. I really like it. When you're making it the piano, also, if you're not playing it in, please do me a favor and strum your chords. So you can see it's not perfect on grid, but this makes it feel so much more natural. You know, if a piano player hits the piano, he won't hit like all keys at the same time. You know, you always have a little bit of delay between certain keys, and it just makes it feel more natural, more like real played. Same thing goes for the velocity, especially if you have a good VST like Noir, which has a lot of velocity layers. You definitely want to move these around a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, cop the Heartless Loop Kit, it's really good. Even though you now have all the source to make your own loops, yeah, cop it. It's 50% off with code GET50 because you watched this video. Links in the description. And yeah, I hope this helped you. Enjoy your time, make some music, and hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.